Oscar Bevis, IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Delighted to be joined today via Zoom by small hall promoter Mark Neilson. How are we, Mark?
Yeah, very well, thanks, Oscar. Good speaking to you.
Good. Lot to talk about, all leading into your show this Saturday from Swindon. Your first show back for well over a year, so I'm just going to kick off by asking you, how tough has this period been?
It's our last show was November 2019. We had a date booked in March, which we were supposed to go, but obviously that got binned like everything else in small hall boxing. And we were building some great momentum, had some really good fighters, and then it all got cancelled. So yeah, I'm a promoter, yeah, I'm a manager, but first and foremost, I'm a fight fan. So I just missed it. And fair play to Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren and Hennessy putting these TV shows on, but they just missed the regular, boxing, being sat at ringside. So it's been tough for me, tough for the boxers, tough for the gym owners, tough for everyone really. But we're certainly back now, aren't we?
Yeah, back this weekend, and
yeah,
it's that fight week feeling, innit? You must have it like you've never had it before.
It's crazy. I've never known anything like this. There's always this bit of buzz in fight week, and a lot of managers and promoters handle it differently. I love it. I've been in boxing all my life, and I thrive on it. And it's different times at the moment. People are talking in the news about shortage of HGV drivers and chefs. There's a shortage of boxers. I think the board said there's 43 shows in September. There's 11 this weekend alone. So trying to find away opponents for some of your guys who are 2-0, 3-0 on debuts, it's been really tough. I've probably worked harder on this than any other show, but I'm not complaining. It's been a while. I'm ready to go. So.
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from, obviously, in terms of just looking forward to it. But it's amazing, isn't it? 43 shows. So can we really sit here and say boxing is back then? Because small hall boxing has been away for so long. Like you said, we've had these TV shows and promotional platforms who can afford to put on shows behind closed doors. But can we really sit here and say now boxing is back? Because 43 shows is hefty.
I think it's, I personally think it's too many. They probably overcommitted. They should have probably put a cap on it. You hear the words that the boxing board are struggling to find enough officials and medical staff to look after. Some shows are being cancelled because they can't match them. And so I think it'll probably settle down a couple of months, but everyone's just so anxious and so eager to get back. They've just booked all these shows up, and there's a couple cancelled, I think, this weekend. It probably just takes the pressure off a little bit. But yeah, it's definitely back.
Yeah. Well, for your card, you got some good names on there, and the standout, of course, Luke the Duke Watkins, who's back after 2 years, and he's going to be campaigning at heavy. I feel like Luke is just everything surrounding him's gone dead silent. So I'm quite excited to see a little bit of the Duke back in the ring and at heavyweight as well.
Yeah, he's really entertaining to watch, isn't he? We were supposed to get him on the November 2019 show in Swindon, but the opponent fell through last minute. Then he was going to be on the March one. Then obviously that got cancelled. So he's got quite a while out of the ring. That sort of length of time, you normally say boxers are on a comeback, but that seems the norm at the moment because obviously with the COVID. But he's always kept himself in good shape. He's a proper athlete. And everyone loves him over this neck of the woods. He's a Swindon man. He's never in a dull fight. He's got a really good knockout percentage. And apart from the Chamberlain and the Coley, he's been really impressive against everyone. So he's back on Saturday. He's going up to heavyweight. Just for this fight, really, just to blow the cobwebs out, get back. We're all looking forward to it because he just, he's really impressive to watch. He's, and he's got some power in both hands. So this should be a great one. Great top of the bill.
Yeah, and he's a good fella, Luke, as well. So I think he's one of them people that, them fighters people just want to see do well.
Yeah. I know him. And I deal with lots of boxers, and Luke is he's really easy to deal with. He's straight talking. You always know where you stand. There's no politics. He's a nice guy. You couldn't say, and maybe you've experienced as well, you'd want to go for a pint with everyone you've met in boxing. Luke's definitely one of those. I'm probably knowing Luke, it's a green tea or something vegan, but he's a top fella. Yeah, he's a really nice guy.
Mate, I'm partial to a pint, so I'll say that to most people. You've got some real talent on there as well. Max Mudway, who I know very well. Anton Haskins, brother of former world champion Lee Haskins, who a lot of people might not know that he's in the game 2-0 now. And the debut of Shabir Hydri, who I know John Pittman's raving about. I spoke to him, ridiculously good or interesting backstory. Is there some real potential in these guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with Shab, he's coming from a great gym, isn't he? With Riddy up there, and Max Mudway, which is, they're managed by John Pegg. Obviously, Riddy's with MTK, so who knows how these boys are going to progress moving forward. But everyone's raving about Shab. He's a great amateur, really strong. You see him in the gym; he's just a strong, solid guy. Really, everyone thought Riddy was good. Everyone thought Max was good. Everyone's raving about Shab. So yeah, great. Really looking forward to see what he can bring to the pro ranks. But he's just a strong, solid guy, and like you said, and he got a great backstory. You know, Afghanistan. You know, here for 5-6 years, came over as a refugee. Now he's at university. He's boxing. Completely turned his life around. What a great story. You know, and you just wish people like him all the best of success.
Yeah, and just in general, when we talk about these young fighters, obviously you do your promoting in the Southwest. So from that pool of talent, have you seen it grow over the last few years? Because it's not been a typical hotbed. You know, I'm from London, so you look at places like East London and the gyms and Repton and West Ham, and it's a real hotbed for talent. Have you seen the talent pool grow in the Southwest?
Yeah, we're sort of our geographics makes it slightly different because we're sort of like big market towns dotted about. So there's no centre, London's just, everywhere's within reach. But, we branded all our shows Fight Town because even though we're just a market town, there's lots of other market towns, Gloucester, Trowbridge, Tewkesbury, that sort of stuff. And they're generating some good fighters out here now. We've probably got more pro fighters out of, I'm based in Swindon, more pro fighters based out of here now than we ever have. I've got, on the next show in November, I've got 5 guys making debuts. Now, there's obviously been a bit of delay because of COVID, and everyone was worried there's going to be quite a lot of fat boxers out there, but most of them were kept in shape. The amateur gyms were shut for a good while, but some of these, some good talent coming through. If we look at, Jamie Cox is obviously a big name, the old male chap for a decent level, but a lot of the new blood coming through. There's far more than you would expect from a town like Swindon. But we sort of like running the Southwest. So we've got Swindon, we do Gloucester, we're out in Bracknell in a couple of weeks, and we're one of the busiest promoters over this way. We've got 4 shows before the end of the year, hoping to do sort of 8 or 9 next year. And we mainly filling that with local guys. So, and decent talent, they're mainly in the home corner, not like, some half decent amateur who want to turn over and become a journeyman. There's a lot of good prospects.
Yeah, and obviously the main man from that region at the moment, and who you worked with in the past as well, is Riddy, and you have been involved with him of previous,
Yeah, absolutely. But he fought, I think, on 6 or 7 of our shows right in the early days. And he's in he as well is a lovely guy. John Pittman at Fight Factory in Gloucester turns out some brilliant guys, and they're all, consummate pros, aren't they? But really, it's brilliant to see his story, his journey. Shame about the result the other week. I was up there supporting him, and
I was going to say, I bet you're not too happy about what happened a few weeks back. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, no, I mean, you might have to be a bit neutral, but I can say it as I see it. And, I think even their corner weren't expecting them to win. There's 3 people in there, those judges who saw it that way. And I don't think anyone else, and I've played it back, everyone's played it back. You can tell by social media. When I'm watching a fight, you keep an eye on Twitter, and you get a feel what everyone else is seeing. So you're not just, you don't want to be biased because you're, know one of the corners. But and that unanimously, it was like Riddy won that. But it happens. You can't change it. You got to move on. And Riddy's always positive. He'll be back for sure. So just a bump in the road. But he's had a good career up to now, and I'm sure because he kept quite active during lockdown. So I'm sure he'll be back.
Yeah, definitely. And potential rematch on the card. So we'll see what happens there. Just in terms of that as a situation, right? And this is quite a long-winded question, so I'm going to try and word it so you can understand, right? So a lot of people will say that Sam Maxwell was the home fighter, maybe would have got the decision and they thought really won, right? Let's say that's a common viewpoint at the moment. You will have a lot of fighters that you're starting off for their debuts and you'll want to progress them and potentially turn them into champions from the Southwest. Does it worry you that if you have a fighter stepping up to the plate at times, that if they're not with the backing of a large TV or promotional company, you could have a fighter who wins a fight but potentially doesn't win a fight, if I've worded that correctly?
Oh, I can see where you're getting. I mean, it's not quite black and white. I don't think it necessarily Maxwell won it because he was the home fighter and he was Frank Warren backed. Riddy's a good ticket seller, and I just think the judges saw a different fight on the day. However, you're right. People will see that and think, well, what's the point? I could go all the way unless my face fits, then I might not get the result anyway. But it happens in all sports. Saying all sports, it happens across the world actually. With there's some questionable results. It's very difficult. These guys sat at ringside, judging it. Sometimes see a different fight from us, sort of 30, 40 feet back or away on the TV. So people like to say it's politics and it's corrupt. Don't think it is. It's just bad decisions. People see it differently, and they didn't. And I bet you, if you were to ask these judges to look back or look, would they, in their own hearts look at that and think they made the right decision? Probably not, but they did it on the time. They have to give their scoring at the end of the round, and they saw it like that at that time. If they looked back on the video next day, would they say the same thing? I can't believe they did, but a decision's made on the night. I can't think referee, a lot of the officials you work with are really professional guys. I can't see them edging it to someone just because who he's promoted and he's the home favourite. People like to say that about boxing, but it's not really like that. They'll know. It might be if it's close and you've got a big home favourite against some Lithuanian window cleaner and it's a bit of a really tight round and I'm not really sure, they might give that a 10-10 to the home fighter. But when it's these big fights, I just think they're seeing it different to a lot of us see it. So that said, I'm trying to defend them a bit. I was like ringside. I can't see how they scored that for Maxwell, but
Yeah. Well, just quickly before we talk about something else that I want to move on to. So these fighters, you said you worked with Riddy and he was on 6 or 7 shows. Are you looking to progress these fighters and perhaps look to pass them on to opportunities elsewhere? So we know Riddy was with MTK and they managed to get on a TV platform. Or are you looking to take these fighters and grow your own stable to the point where perhaps you can potentially get these guys in view, whether it be via a stream on YouTube or try and push your own promotional stable with these guys, or build these guys to perhaps pass them on, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that's the sort of model, because we don't have the backing of TV, so we can't give them that sort of money and exposure that they can get from the TV fights. So the best we can do while we're a small hall show, small hall promoter in the regions, is just develop them as much as we can to catch the eye of the big main TV promoters and get picked up by a Wasserman, the Matchroom and now on the Zone. So we've got, I reckon we can get them to sort of like 10-0, 11-0, 12-0, like a Riddy. And then, they're going to want to go somewhere else, and you can't do that at a leisure centre in Swindon. We know that, we appreciate that, but I can't also go and hire Wembley Stadium and and stick down 250 grand to book it when the off chance we sell a load of tickets. So we know where we are, we know where the market's at. But that said, I think when I was doing this 5 years ago, people was asking, how are you ever going to compete with the big guys? Are you going to stay small hall forever? But live streaming has changed. The Zone, who'd heard of that 5 years ago? And then YouTube, they're charging for subscriptions. And MTK, yourself, and that have had shows on YouTube. Who knows what's coming? And I think we just want to keep these guys busy, keep developing them and be ready. So the pay-per-view model on the small halls never really worked. And I know there's some sort of Fight Zone out there which are trying to build a different platform, which good for them. But I think we just keep our eye on it, see what happens. At the moment, we're developing them, making them as good as we can, build them and get opportunities with some of these big TV promoters. But who knows where we'll be in 12, 24, 48 months, where we'll be able to do it ourselves on some sort of streaming platform. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, let's just hope the next 48 hours goes smoothly and you get a good night on Saturday night, because we need the small hall scene thriving. And to be honest, you deserve it, because I could just tell, I just know how much of a pain in the arse it would have been. I'm not going to lie. So let's just hope the 48 hours from now goes smoothly. Yeah,
fast forward to Sunday morning and I can put my feet up.
One thing I do have to add, Mark, is I just want to quickly brush over this, but it's such a big topic at the moment. I saw you wrote a piece for it in, I think, one of the Swindon newspapers or websites. As someone who's promoting at the other end, it's just interesting to hear your take on it. Obviously, Saturday night's events on Triller from Miami, I think it was. Yeah, talk to me, because something that a couple of years ago you wouldn't have even thought about, and now it's something that's commonplace. I'd just like to get your take on it, because I saw your little piece on it as well.
Yeah, well, people ask a lot. I don't really treat it as boxing. I'm like a purist. I'm not going to watch it. I mean, I'm certainly on the main event. Evander Holyfield, 58 years old, he's a legend, right? I remember, I grew up with boxing in the 80s and 90s, and I had to look. He had his first pro fight in 1984. I don't know when you were born, Oscar, but 1984 was a long time ago. And he's still fighting competitively 10 years after his last fight. I don't think that's right. I mean, I'm not going to hold it against anyone. If a couple of 50-odd-year-olds want to go in against each other with similar age, similar experience and have a bit of an exhibition, all right, fair enough. But I think this fight in particular, there's, the UFC guy, Victor Belfort, is it? I'm not a UFC, but, that was no exhibition. He came out there and went for him and went to win. I just saw some highlights on it. I thought, that doesn't sit right. I'd seen Evander Holyfield on some pads and doing some interviews, and you thought,
sluggish, wasn't it? Yeah.
Very, the pad work, it was in slow motion, wasn't it? And You know, and bear in mind, he'd been in some real battles back in the day, some real 12 rounds with some big punching guys. They shouldn't be allowed anywhere near a ring, really. You know, David Haye fighting his mate was just a sparring match, and apparently he got paid more than, you know, when he fought Bellew. It's just a crazy time. And I mean, to answer your question, I think the landscape's changing. In one sense, I've got a foot in both camps. In one sense, the more eyeballs on boxing, the better. In the other, you don't want it to detract away from the proper boxing, you know, and there's guys 2-0, 3-0, just trying to build their trade and build something. But I think that sort of thing's here to stay. And there's this little crossover thing, you know, the Tommy Fury with you know, the YouTubers and stuff like that, you know, but there's somebody making some money out there. But ironically, it's really big business. It's generating lots of money. You know, you hear Eddie Hearn sort of promoted a couple of years back, and the money it was generating for a couple of guys who are having their first or second fight is just incredible. I think it's here to stay. I don't really agree with it. Like I said, if a couple of older guys want to have an exhibition, can't have a problem with that. It's a bit just like WWE, isn't it? You know, it's harmless enough, but you wouldn't want to see these old guys in really competitive matches against some, you know, where they're proper mismatches. You know, Evander Holyfield came in, what was it, 10 days notice? It's not right. Unfortunately, America's a funny old place, isn't it? Because there's no national sanctioning body. Like we've got the British Boxing Board of Control. But even if there were, it would have been outside the jurisdiction because it's just Florida have just approved it, which is crazy.
Well, yeah, you've just said to me, sorry, just quickly, you've just said to me earlier on that you're struggling to find opponents for actual professional boxers who have a professional license with the British Boxing Board of Control, and these are men pushing 60.
Yeah. How are they getting permitted to fight? You know, over here in the UK, I'd probably struggle to put that on as a white collar fight down at a sports centre because the local health and safety person would probably have something to say about that. Yeah, it can go on Triller, this new sort of platform, you know, which is a bit different, a bit edgy, a bit quirky, and they're having a go, aren't they? But you know, somebody's proven that, you know, the local authorities or, you know, whatever in Florida have said, yeah, that'll be okay. Well, somebody needs to take a look at themselves because it's not really, is it?
Yeah. And if I could be completely blunt about it, how many eyeballs from Evander Holyfield against Victor Belfort is going to be enticed to go and watch a small hall show at a leisure centre, if we're being blunt?
You know, not a lot. I mean, I say like I'm more eyeballs on boxing, the better, but you're right. I don't think, you know, if you took their pay-per-view people, how many of them are going out and watch actual boxing the following week? Which is a shame, isn't it? It's like it's creating a new sport in the middle, isn't it? Of you know, amateur boxing, professional boxing, a bit of white collar, a bit of unlicensed. Now this in the middle. It's all going back to Frank Warren before he was a promoter. He was an unlicensed promoter. He was somewhere in the middle. He just put boxing on without a license. Same sort of thing now, but of course there's so much money involved. It's, you know, I feel for the young up and coming guys who struggle to sell their tickets, to struggle to get on, to get, you know, to get fights, to get matched, to develop their career. And then somebody who did it 20 years ago can get paid millions and do it. It doesn't sit right, but I think that's the sign of the times.
Does every promoter just need a Love Island contestant that can box to just fall on their feet and just get money on the table? Is that what you need? Do you need someone from Swindon to just go in Love Island and come out superstar, and hopefully they can throw some hands?
As much as I like Swindon, I don't see many people that would probably fit the criteria here. But you know, there's not that many spray tans and white teeth floating around Swindon. Love it. But yeah, I mean, you know, Tommy Fury and stuff. He's actually can box a bit, which is all right. You know, he you know, it's when they get these, you know, either they're really too old or they're just a YouTuber, and you know, they don't sit right. But you know, from a promoting point of view, if somebody from, you know, from the Love Island wanted to fight on your local show, you know, it's just not what we do. I'll leave that to somebody else. You know, it's not all about the money for me anyway, but there's always someone out there who will take the money.
Yeah. All right, brilliant. Mark, thank you very much for speaking to me. Just wrapped up, what, about 15, 20 minutes? Yeah, good luck on Saturday. And I said to Matt as well, we're going to organise something soon, because obviously your old man has a little bit of history and has been in the ring with a couple of legends. So we're going to sort something soon as well, potentially. Yeah, just I want to quickly brush over actually. So your old man done a little bit of boxing, didn't he?
He did. You know, he's still quite young. He's only 72 now. He had us all quite young, but he was like a heavyweight back in the 70s, 80s. They called him the Swindon Steamroller because I think he had 34, 35 fights. I think he only went to distance 2 or 3 times. I think out of them, he stopped 28. They called him, you know, the Swindon Steamroller. And I was growing, you know, so by the time he was fighting sort of Frank Bruno, Joe Bugner, which is the early 80s, he was actually on a bit of a comeback then. you know, on TV when we only had 3 channels on prime time TV. Did me no harm with the opposite sex, I've got to admit, being a 14-year-old and my dad all over the TV and the front page of the advert, the local paper and the back page of the Sun. But yeah, you know, there's always an age when everyone thinks they'll be able to take their old man. He's 72, you know, I still don't think I'll get there. I still don't think, you know, he's still got that little glint in his eye. He still watches these guys on TV. He says, I think I might make a comeback.
Don't get him involved in it, no. Well, I'll tell you one thing. It definitely didn't work with me with the ladies when I tell them my dad was doing asbestos removal. So I think you won that one, but yeah.
Yeah,
Well, now, like I said, I'll speak to Matt and we'll get something wrapped up about some of the stories and stuff you got. But yeah, just for now, good luck Saturday. And yeah, we'll speak to you soon.
good speaking to you. Thanks for that.